How do I want to start this one? So I've been doing YouTube for about a year now, and as anyone that's kept up over that year will tell you, a lot's changed since then. I started Anti-King as more of a political channel, and have slowly evolved into like movie content, specifically a lot of horror content, mainly because I noticed that my voice wasn't necessary in that space. There's thousands of these already. So instead I started to talk about other things I'm passionate about, and I think it's working really well for me right now. That being said, this Friday, the 26th, will be the 1-year anniversary of my very first video, which was an idea I had probably last September or so, which was just trying to... my original idea was to look at a few Christmas movies and try to find like capitalist propaganda within them. But after searching through which ones I would want to cover, how I would want to do that, I ended up just doing one of my favorite Christmas movies of all time, which is Jingle All the Way. So yeah, for the 1-year anniversary of my YouTube channel, I just thought it'd be fun to look back at it and see how much I've grown as a YouTuber. So let's do that. All right, so here we are. I've got the video all loaded up already. I got 1 dislike. It's got a little under 300 views ratio, right? I remember this not only being my first video, but my first copyright strike. I had a I had a clip in there that was like 45 seconds long. I really didn't understand how much you were allowed to use for fair use yet. In fact, when I made this video, I don't think I knew the term fair use yet. But yeah, right off the bat, I remember just immediately being copyrighted and thinking like, oh, this is going to be a thing every time I try to cover a movie, huh? And I've covered like 50 since then. I think I've had 1 instance. Let's get into it. Let's see what I was up to a year ago. I remember being very proud of this little intro thing. I still kind of am. I still kind of fuck with it.
It's that time of year again. The stores are packed with full-hearted Americans elbowing and shoving each other to attain just the right thing to make their families love them again. Mariah Carey is everywhere. It's inescapable. And of course, corporations are pumping out as much half-hearted, wholesome Christmas advertising as possible. That's not the only thing commercial about Christmas. It all is. All of it. Forever. The thing is, though, they are advertising.
I do like that little.
Sure,
that's a good little
love seeing the happy family cozied up around
introduction
a
I
fire
wrote there.
Christmas sweaters.
Way too much
It's
zooming
comforting, it's
on
familiar, it may
pictures
even
that
remind us of
don't
home.
fit
But they are
the
advertising
aspect
family
ratio,
either.
though.
No, they are advertising capitalism.
Bad trope.
And Christmas movies are the worst culprits of all.
Very distracting.
It's a Wonderful Life, Ghost of Christmas Past, Elf. These are all stories of redemption. They're uplifting in that classic cinematically manipulative way. They want you to think that these are stories of people overcoming, making the right choice. But underneath all that, they're hiding a much more sinister message. That capitalism is essential to you and your family's happiness. That the reason for the season is commerce. Now, I'm not here to make the argument that we should put Christ back in Christmas or any of those nonsense talking points, but I also think it's important to decompress a little this time of year. Stress is running high. It's all anyone talks about. They don't know how they'll afford presents for everyone this year or make time to see everyone. This year is obviously a little different because of coronavirus, but let's stay on this train of thought regardless and take a look at a Christmas movie that's gained somewhat of a cult status throughout the years and is also a great example of exactly what I'm talking
Why
about.
did I switch
Jingle All the Way. Jingle All the Way
from
was
a clip
directed
of
by
the
Brian
movie
Levant
back
and
to
stars a
the...
powerhouse 90s cast including Arnold Schwarzenegger, Sinbad, Rita Wilson, Jim
Oh, I
Carrey,
remember...
Jim Belushi, and Phil Hartman.
I remember
While
trying
it
to
may
get
not
this
have been
part to where
intended, Jingle All the Way is a
when I announced the actor's name to line up to when it was shown in the credits, was probably the longest part of editing this video. I had no fucking clue what I was doing. You'll actually see in the first... A lot of them are gone now. But in the first like 20 videos I did, there's just this green bar to the right side of the screen. And I have no idea... I don't even know how I fixed it. It just fixed itself one day. I think I just reinstalled... I don't remember. It just fixed itself. Yeah, I really had no idea what I was doing. That was my editing expertise.
A terrific dissection of capitalism and consumerism through the scope of American life and how it pressures us into buying the love of those closest to us. Principal photography for the movie was even shot at the Mall of America, which in and of itself is a sort of monolith for capitalism and consumerism.
Ta-ta, Turbo Man.
Alright, so this movie follows Howard Langston, who's a workaholic, often absent father. He spends the movie chasing down a Turbo Man doll, which is like the hot new toy.
Okay, and this was before I had the idea, before I realized that I could just film me doing the whole script and put video from the source material over it. So I had all of these written out where it was like, this is a voiceover part, this is a movie clip, which I was so proud of those, by the way, and this is a part where I'll be on camera. And it's actually impressively kind of thought out and technical back then, but also not practical. Look at my fantastic hand talking here.
That season for his son, Jamie. The movie starts out with Jamie complaining to his mom that his dad won't be making it to his karate class because, capitalism. And Howard doing all he can to both get his work done and make his son's class. Right out the gate, we get a great example of the uneven work-life balance expected and even encouraged by capitalism. Howard has to overwork himself to provide for his family, which in turn takes away from his time with him. It's framed as a man doing what he has to, and doing the right thing. Try as he might, he ends up stuck in traffic while Jamie's karate class starts, where Howard's wife Liz, played by Rita Wilson, is watching from the stands with divorcee Ted, who is, pretty popular with the other mothers around town.
Ted, I was wondering if you'd mind taking a look at my porch light. Just doesn't seem to be working, and,
Man, Ted
you being
fucks.
such a handyman.
Anyone that's watched this movie knows Ted fucks.
He races through traffic and is accosted by a far too realistic cop.
Oh, I do apologize if I've caused you some sort of a delay. How thoughtless of me. Because the last thing that I want on my conscience right now is for a private citizen to somehow be disappointed in the performance of my duty.
And ultimately, he doesn't make it.
I didn't make it.
He makes his way home to find
pretty
Ted
good.
on his roof putting up the Christmas lights, and his son giving him the cold shoulder for missing his karate class. Which, fuck you, kid, your dad's doing his best.
Yeah, dude, fuck you.
Anyways, Jamie storms off from his Turbo Man commercial and goes upstairs to read his Turbo Man comic. Howard talks to him and apologizes for missing so much. And as an apology, he asks Jamie what he can buy him for Christmas, because again, that's a normal thing to do when products equal happiness. To which he responds by telling him he wants a Turbo Man action figure. During that exchange, Jamie says this:
Johnny's gonna get one and so is everybody else I know. Whoever doesn't can be a real loser.
Jamie is exposing a really nasty part of Christmas consumerism, which is the effect it has on kids. These commercials play right into kids' common insecurity of being accepted by other kids by making every new toy, game, or other trend the new cool thing. If someone doesn't have the new cool thing, then they won't be accepted. This leads to kids pressuring their parents with their emotional well-being. Howard tells Liz about his and Jamie's
I
conversation,
had no idea.
and Liz replies by asking if he had got the doll like she had asked 2 weeks ago. Howard plays it off and heads to bed. He wakes up and immediately takes off to find the doll on Christmas Eve, passing over-the-top Ted and his reindeer games on the way. The first place Howard goes is Toyco, where we're introduced to Myron, a postal worker and fellow father.
Man, where have you been? Don't you watch TV? We are being set up by rich and powerful toy cartels.
Oh, come
Now you got
on.
these big fat cats sit there using working class just like me and you. They spend billions of dollars on TV advertisement, and then they sit there and use subliminal messages to suck your children's minds out. And I know what I'm talking about because I went to junior college for a semester and I studied psychology, so I'm right in there. I know what's going on.
The doors open and everyone rushes in, trampling
I
the
wonder
man
how
at
I
the door
cut
in
that.
the
That was a
process.
long clip.
After some wacky hijinks, Howard finds them sold out and is told by Chris Parnell in a cameo they're sold out everywhere. After some more wacky hijinks, including chasing a lady down the street who had previously bought the doll, we see a montage of Howard trying desperately to find one and mindlessly ripping up a Turbo Man cardboard cutout when he can. We pick up at Howard and Liz's house where Ted just kind of walks into their house, and now he's hugging Liz. Ted's a weird guy. He insists Liz go take some time alone
Ted
and help himself
fucks
to Howard's
past
cookies.
me.
Who told you you can eat my cookies?
Howard runs into Myron again, and Myron offers to team up with him. When Howard declines, Myron gets upset, which helps spark the rivalry that runs throughout the movie. Finally, we arrive at the Mall of America, where he finds a large crowd gathering to take a number to potentially get their shot at buying a Turbo Man doll. After an extended scene of Howard chasing a ball around a playground, he runs into a shady mall Santa
I was really
who says he
stretching
knows
to
where
stay
to
on
get a Turbo
topic.
Man doll. Howard is hesitant at first, but in desperation agrees to work with the sleazy Santa. Santa makes Howard drive out to a sketchy warehouse,
look, I haven't
where
talked
inside
about the
they find a
topic of
ton of
this video
Santas
in
running
probably
a
3
counterfeit
minutes
toy
now.
racket. The group initially
I was
quoted
really
Howard's
stretching,
anxiety over the
trying to
legality
stay
of
on
what
this
was
topic.
occurring
Like, I
by
probably
giving
haven't
a
talked
rousing
about the
speech
topic of
about
this
helping
video
children
in 3
and a
minutes now.
shanty-styled song called "The Boy That Santa Forgot," only to immediately turn heel and make it very clear their only interest is the profits they stand to make. Howard reluctantly agrees and pays up, but is frustrated to find the product in bad shape and asks for his money back, which leads to one of the best moments in cinematic history as Howard has to fight off a mob of karate Santas. Eventually, cops show up and break up the brawl, and Howard escapes by posing as an officer. Defeated and pushing his now broken-down SUV, Howard decides to stop and rest at Mickey's dining car. Back home, Ted is still being an over-the-top creep as the neighbors gather to take part in his elaborate Christmas festivities, where Ted's son suggests to Jamie that maybe his parents should get divorced. Why are the kids so damn mean in this movie? Jamie runs off and Liz chases after him, but not before Jamie picks up a phone call from his dad, where Jamie laments to his father that he misses him and doesn't want him to miss the parade he promised to go to. Jamie gives his dad more grief again, and Howard has some coffee at the diner, where Myron also happens to be. Myron again highlights a problem of Christmas consumerism.
Look, we get one chance a year to prove we're not screw-ups, and what do? We screw it up.
Parents are under so much pressure to deliver their children a magical Christmas, it can be a major source of holiday stress. Once again, these messages are obviously not intended to help parents provide but to play on parents' insecurities of their flaws as parents. This is especially heinous considering how many single-income parents there are in the United States. A lot of people, for a variety of circumstances, simply can't afford to provide those things. As Myron and Howard exchange childhood Christmas stories, the radio cuts in announcing a call-in contest in which the first person to call and name all 8 of Santa's reindeer will win a Turbo Man doll. However, the owner of the diner reveals that the station is just down the street and the two dads race off in that direction. Howard is the first to arrive, but Myron shows up shortly after and literally threatens to blow the fucking place up with a mail bomb. After a short hostage situation, and that the prize was actually a gift certificate for a Turbo Man doll. The men turn on the host, but have to reconsider when cops surround the place. In their attempt to escape, they're surrounded by cops, but Myron once again uses a literal fucking bomb threat to get out of the situation.
This is nothing but a harmless Christmas package.
That was really a bomb? Just a sick world we're living in. Sick people.
Howard returns to Mickey's to find his car stripped for parts outside and breaks into Ted's house.
At this point, I had spent about 2 days on the script, and I thought that was a long time.
I don't know. Howard grabs the doll as Ted and Liz go.
So I will full-on admit that I rushed through the third act of this movie.
As he returns the gift, an incident with a reindeer leads to a fire at Ted's house.
Really tried to just hit the beats and keep it moving.
Over the Turbo Man doll in his hand. Liz isn't interested in Howard's explanation and insists Ted drive her to the Christmas parade. Howard decides to finish his redemption arc by showing up to the parade, and Ted turns on full creep mode and confesses his feelings to Liz, which ends with him getting smashed with a thermos. Howard somehow ends up being chased by a cop and ends up in a back room where he's briefed and put into a Turbo Man suit. He ends up on the Turbo Man float, where he's given a Turbo Man doll to give to a child of his choosing. He scans the crowd before finally finding Jamie. Jamie climbs onto the float and all is right, because again, products equal happiness. Just then, Myron swings down from a nearby roof dressed as Turbo Man's arch-nemesis, which makes no sense. It leads to a drawn-out fight scene that eventually leads to Howard saving the day, because of course he does. In the end, Jamie gives his Turbo Man doll to a handcuffed Myron because he realizes the value of family or whatever. We get a short scene back at Howard's house to set up a sequel that never happened and roll credits. So the question I posed remains. Is this Christmas movie capitalist propaganda? My answer would be, yeah, kind of. While Jingle All the Way often
thank you guys for
and play
continuing to watch me when I
holiday,
started out with
still
shit like
frames it as
this.
an
What was I
individual
doing?
problem rather than a societal one. Sure, you do so.
I can't even. This was such
video
a
isn't
dumb,
meant to discourage
creative
you from
idea. I
watching
can't even pay
holiday
attention
movies.
to what I'm saying.
I
here.
personally love them. From what I understand, these types of videos don't monetize very well on YouTube, so in the future, be on the lookout for a Patreon for some kind of exclusive content or something. Until next time, wear a mask and be safe. Things are starting to get crazy out there again.
Okay, so some good, some bad, some really, really bad. That was a bad video. I'm glad in hindsight that I switched up my tone, my content. I'm glad in hindsight that I've just that I've made as many videos as I have now, because I can, it makes me feel better about my editing and writing skills, having seen that. Because there were some decisions made in that one that I would not make today. That being said, it's so cool that I've done this for a year now. I've had so much fun doing it. Thank you guys that were around at the beginning. Thank you guys that have been around for a week. I still really enjoy doing these, so I think I'm going to keep doing it in the future. Please like and subscribe if you haven't already. You've had a whole year. What are you waiting for?
What are you waiting for, huh? What are you waiting for?
And I guess that's it. Stay safe.